Sifter Swarm. Okay. If he doesn't cast Sifter Worm, what?
I'm going to be very upset because it's the name of the deck.
Dude, the hair is more fly today than it was yesterday. Something changed.
Yeah,
it looks a little
probably
lighter.
put a little product in it, you know. Maybe he combed it back like John Travolta from Grease.
What do you think if I just go full blonde? Thinking about it.
I don't know.
I've been thinking about it.
That is, I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about like Eminem and that trend from the early 2000s.
What if I go Cisco? Just what is he? Silver?
Yeah.
That thong song.
I don't want to talk about that.
Well, that's not a good song.
I know every word to that song.
I think all of us 90s folks do.
I've done it on karaoke before.
Oh, dude, no one made you do that. Dude.
No one makes me do anything. That's kind of why. That's kind of why I get myself in trouble so much.
Dude, come on. That's brutal.
Like it when the beat go?
Oh, stop. Please. What was the name of that group? Drew Hill. Right.
What?
Well, the name of the group was Drew Hill.
I mean, Cisco was the solo artist.
Yeah, but the name of the group was Drew Hill.
Cool.
Yeah. Boy, the 90s were really something.
Yeah.
Julian John could be next Cisco. Like I bet if I went to Julian John right now and just went, dude, who's Cisco? He would just go, I don't know. Is that?
Are you talking about that stuff you cook with?
Yeah, or is that truck that delivers food?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like, no, man. The musical artist Cisco. What is he most known for? And he would say, I don't know who you're talking about. It's okay. These young kids. With their Drake.
These darn millennials.
With their Drake and their auto-tune.
I was a Drake hater for a long time.
Drake is horrible.
But
horrible.
But, like, I would say probably 3 or 4 of his last, like, 5 or 6 songs have been slapping.
Is slapping a thing people say?
Yeah. Dude, that song slaps.
There's no way people say that.
You want to bet it?
I do not want to bet it.
What? I mean, you already lost one lunch bet yesterday. Let's make another.
Slapping?
I bet if you search on Twitter for this song slaps,
oh my God,
you'll just get thousands and thousands of search results.
We as a society, it's not good. It's not good. This song slaps.
Yeah.
Take a look. I'm making a note.
Note, this song slaps.
Boy.
No! Dylan's mulling down to 5. I want to see a Sifter Worm.
His deck's about to get slapped. Is that a thing that people say?
I mean, that just sounds aggressive.
That's what's about to happen. He's got no cards.
Nah, he's about to get smooshed. Looks like he's got at least 3 lands and a gift from the Ashes, so if he can find something to do with 5 mana that matters, he might be okay.
Trigger off the Bomac Courier here for Julian John.
I can't imagine that this matchup is that bad for the Sifter Worm deck. The card Hour of Devastation is particularly strong in this matchup because it can kill Chandra Torch of Defiance as well as Hazoret.
Yep.
However, mulling to 5 and down a game, it's not looking so great.
It's pretty tough. Jackson Knott already won his match. That's good for him, as there's a scrap heap scrounger there for Julian John. He's got his team in the lead. Counter's Company took care of Storm. Going to cycle a Sheltered Thicket here with Dylan Smith. He'll untap and draw for his turn. Brandon Smith and Timothy Shulz, they're all tied up. That's Lands v. Grixis Delver, a matchup we've seen a couple times here this weekend. And Julian John currently up a game, as we're going to have Dylan play a Spring to Mind. That'll resolve. I think we're going to see him get an island.
Yeah, he's already got plenty of green mana. I believe he has another source of red mana in hand if he is able to draw an Hour of Devastation. But without access to blue, that cuts off some of his better cards.
Julian John's going to attack here for 4. Trigger off the Bomac Courier. Card will go underneath that beautiful construct. 4 damage will be dealt. Down to 14.
Roll that beautiful Bomat footage.
Yeah. There's another Scrounger. Uh-oh. Does he not have a... Ooh. We have a chance.
Yeah. That was an Hour of Promise, which is also pretty good in the spot. It generates 2 blockers and pushes him further towards being able to play some of his bigger spells.
Yeah. This desert is very hostile.
Yeah, it can provide a blocking body next turn, which is nice. With the Shelter Thicket in the graveyard, he can activate it next turn.
I think that if you're Dylan, you want to get another blue source of mana.
Yeah, he already has
Mind.
Already has the the 3 desert requirement.
There's Ipnu Rivulet, 2 zombies. All right, a little comeback here for Dylan Smith, though. He's on a mulligan to 5.
Yeah, and with Julian stuck on 2 lands here, this is a really great start for Dylan on this mulligan to 5.
Julian John with some mana issues with his red-black aggro deck, a deck that generally plays at least 24 lands, sometimes 25. Not able to find many this game, or perhaps Bomac Courier has been taking them.
You could just pop in and find out.
That would be a little aggressive, maybe.
Mayhaps.
And now Julian John's in this weird spot, too, where attacking doesn't seem all that great. If you're Dylan Smith, you are ready to block with those zombies no matter how he attacks.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot. Hour of Promise really showing just how strong it is, even in a matchup where you need to play a significant amount of defense. Putting up 2 2/2s is great against this double Scrounger draw from Julian, as well as pushing them further and further towards 7 mana.
Scroungers are coming in. Scroungers will be blocked. Zombies will trade. Hour of Promise doing a great job this game, ramping, defending, and even stopping Bomac Courier from attacking. The follow-up here from Julian John is a Goblin Chain Whirler. Trigger, deal 1 to everything. So Dylan Smith will fall down to 13. Let's go back over to Dylan Smith now. He'll draw a card. We know he's got Mind in the graveyard at the very least that he can cast to draw 2 cards as he plays a Forest. Grow from the Ashes 2. Looks like he'll kick it. Potentially.
Have to imagine kicking it is desirable here. I don't know what his last card in hand is, but as long as he can cast it for 5 mana, he can play it this turn.
There's Grow from the Ashes. Kicker 2, total 5. Search your deck for 2 basic land cards. Put them on the battlefield.
Untapped.
Yeah, to note, it is untapped. So an island and a mountain going on the battlefield untapped here for Dylan Smith. So I haven't seen a Sifter Worm be resolved here from this Teamer Sifter Worm deck. Still just waiting on that. And now, let's go over to Julian John.
So 4 toughness from the Hostile Desert here is actually pretty relevant because a card like a Braid won't kill the Hostile Desert before blocks.
There is Hostile Desert. I think he wants to get in front of Bomac Courier, yeah. I like that. Not interested in tussling there with the Chain Whirler. Looks like Julian John says, I'm going to discard some cards there. Glorybringer.
A lot of black cards and no black mana.
Yep.
I'm fine making that swap.
That was a Doomfall, 2 Duresses, a Glorybringer, and a Chandra. Bit the dust. Bomac Courier brings on a bunch of new cards. There's a Mountain. There's another Chain Whirler. Smith will fall even lower. Now we'll head back over to Dylan Smith, who's at 9.
Yeah, it's also important to note that those Duresses and Doomfalls were slowly losing value as well because Dylan's getting to the point where he has very few cards in hand. So cashing that Bomac Courier gave him a breath of new life in this game where he was starting to fall pretty far behind.
Well, it looks like Dylan's going to go to the Mind half of Spring to Mind. He needs some cards, as you mentioned. He's going to get 2 of them right now.
Yeah, and if he has a land, something like Hour of Devastation here, will clear the board of these Goblin Chain Whirlers and buy him a lot of time.
And there is the Ark. City's Blessing on the way. But that's an expensive way to go about generating card advantage, especially when you don't have pure control of the game, which right now Dylan Smith does not have. As Julian John's got a brand new hand, and he's already got 2 Chain Whirlers on the battlefield.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
There it is.
Chandra's Defeat looks like he's got in hand, so he's probably trying to save that for something like Glorybringer that hits harder, but I think at this stage in the game, he really just needs to make sure that he protects his life total.
And there is Chandra's Defeat to take care of the Chain Whirler. Looks like Dylan Smith's going to fall down to 6. Pia, Nalar, Thopter incoming.
Yeah, there's always been like 1 or 2 Pias in most red lists over the last 2 years it's been in Standard. You know, it's slowly started to get a little more play in these decks. generating an artifact has always been good for things like unlicensed integration, but flying has actually been a pretty big deal as of late.
A lot of relevant text on the old Pia. There's Ipnu Rivulet. Now, one of the fun things about this deck is here comes another copy of Hour of Promise, is that you can get a little funky with some of your lands here. Those deserts can definitely play a role in things, turning on hostile desert. We'll take a look at Ipnu Rivulet really quickly. And, of course, Hashep Oasis. We all know that one from Mono Green Aggro and the fact that you can pump your threats. Ipnu Rivulet, you could target yourself.
Yeah, you could target yourself. It's used quite a bit in various God Pharaoh's Gift decks as a way to not only mill yourself to find more threats, but on occasion used to deck your opponent. I've seen Ipnu Rivulet in a number of decks at the end of a game, if you have multiple in play, maybe another desert or two, just used to mill the last like 16 or so cards of your opponent's control deck when they're running really low on actual cards.
It's beatdowns with Goblin Chain Whirler and a Thopter token. PNLR are going to hang out.
Yeah, I think Julian wants to put a 2-turn clock on Dylan if he can. Pumping the Thopter twice here is the way to go.
So it looks like Dylan's going to Ipnu Rivulet. He's going to sacrifice a Hashep Oasis, target himself, Palaka Memory, Hour of Promise, an Hour of Devastation. Those are going to go in the graveyard. This will allow Dylan to activate his Hostile Desert.
Yeah, I like this play from him, being able to turn on the Hostile Desert and maybe hitting a land off the top 4 to maybe activate again next turn. And that makes it so you don't just chump block with a zombie effectively.
And there's your block, 3-4 in front of the 3-3. And, of course, the zombie cannot get in front of the Thopter token. But now we're going to see maybe a gang block. Okay. It's a pretty safe way to do it. So 2 zombies in a hostile desert in front of the Chain Whirler. Looks like that Thopter is going to be able to get in its damage regardless. The question will be how much Julian wants to deal. If it'll be 1 or if it'll be 3.
Honestly, at this stage, Dylan has a billion mana. Unless Julian has some giant spell he's planning on playing this turn or next turn and already has it lined up, I think he just wants to go for the kill over 2 turns. Oh. Looks like he's probably going to play something else this turn. Let's see what it is.
Chandra.
Okay, tick up is pretty good here.
And a Braid, the Hostile Desert, which will kill it for good.
Yeah, and even though it has 4 toughness, the way he ordered blockers, he did Zombie first, Hostile Desert second. So it dealt the damage in that order, and the 1 left over dealt 1 to the desert, plus the 3 from a Braid, and you've got a dead Hostile Desert.
Well, we're going to go back over to Dylan Smith now, who, again, is in some trouble. Would be a great time for Hour of Devastation.
That's true. He has enough mana to flashback Spring to Mind, which I believe he found.
No, he found a Commit to Memory.
Oh, that could be a nice one, too. Even though it does give Julian a fresh hand, he needs something on this battlefield, or he's looking to maybe just die next turn.
Well, I think we might see the memory half of Commit to Memory now.
Normally, you only see that on Torrential Gearhulk at the end of your opponent's turn. That way, you're the person who gets to untap first with those 7 cards. But with access to 13 mana, he's able to flash it back and still have 7. So if he finds a Sifter Worm and has enough green mana, he can still cast it.
Well, this is always a little bit scary, and it looks like he doesn't have much green mana at all, Tom.
Oh, he may have made a slight error here, tapping his green sources here instead of things like Arch of Raska or additional blue sources with the Rivulets.
Yeah, I think I would have liked tapping Arch of Raska here instead of one of those green lands just because you're not activating the Arch.
Yeah, and the potential life gain from Sifter Worm here or even Palaka Worm
Ooh, good point
could have been a big deal, and it could be too much. Now it might just be Hour of Devastation or bust.
All right, Dylan Smith. Both players, 7 cards coming. He saw the shuffling. You'll now see the drawing. Magma Spray among the cards found. Memory, you're going to have to tilt your head to read it. But each player shuffles his or her hand and discard. Excuse me. Each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library, then draws 7 cards.
Wow, this was a pretty good 7 from Dylan, but that's going to happen a lot of times when you ramp a bunch of lands out of your deck. Looks like he hit Chandra's Defeat, Magma Spray, and a Braid. So he has the ability to just clear the entire side of the battlefield from Julian, and then he basically just has to worry about the cards that Julian's going to start spouting off next turn.
So here's Chandra's Defeat. That will take care of Chandra for 1 red mana.
And that's going to let him rummage as well, cashing in a land or a ramp spell in favor of a card off the top.
Not bad, not bad.
Now he found Hour of Devastation, but I don't think he wants to play it here. So now that he has a Braid and Magma Spray on backup, I think he's just going to save it.
No real rush to do anything else, right? At least not yet. Grow from the ashes. Looks like it'll be kicked. So
yeah.
2 lands coming, both of which will be untapped. And I think at least one of them is going to have to be a red source.
See how many mountains he has in this bad boy. 4 total mountains. So he had 2 in play, so he's able to find the other 2. And now he can still cast a Braid and Magma Spray. But more importantly, he's threatening to hold up Hostile Desert, which will change how Julian John plays his next turn and how he attacks. So while this game did not look that great for Dylan Smith early on, the stumble from Julian, and then the eventual flood, but now the flashback on Memory, we got a real game.
We do have a game now. We do have a game. Dragon Skull Summit's going to come down. Looks like he's going to lead off with the Duress, which is a great way to start. Julian's been missing black mana the entire game. We saw the cards that he discarded there to Bomac Courier were mostly black cards, but now he's got black mana, and those got shuffled back in. So let's show you a hand here in just a moment as a Braid and Magma Spray will take care of the token and the Pia. Hour of Devastation will go to the graveyard, and now he's left with an island and a Hashtag Oasis. So maybe we don't have a game.
It's possible. Just 2 lands left in hand.
Cycle
land, not great.
Cycle of Canyon Slew. And now there's Akari Zev. So not that great of a rebuild there from Julian John. So we head back over to Dylan Smith, who, again, we know he's got nothing really going on. But he's got some real big draws here, folks.
Yeah, and he also has multiple Ebony Review Lights and a bunch of other deserts. So he actually has the option to mill himself looking for some Aftermath cards. But on top of that, he can just start using Arch of Ravnica to draw an extra card every turn. And he has enough mana to just cast whatever he draws.
That's true. 5 mana plus activating the Arch is a lot. But given how much land he has on the battlefield right now, it doesn't feel like it's too much as he's going to go reaching for the Arch. Now, things do get a little bit interesting here because what mana are you supposed to tap to actually do this? You want to make sure you leave yourself the ability to cast whatever you draw. Pretty important in a spot like this.
Oh, for sure.
But you also want to be able to leave access to a card like Hostile Desert. You want to be able to activate your other deserts like Ipnu Revulet. It's not as easy as it may seem.
For the most part, I'm tapping in a lot of the lands that deal damage to me.
Well, this match is all tied up now as we see Dylan activating that Arch and simply passing the turn back as Timothy Shulz with lands took care of Brandon Smith playing Grixis Delvers. So Shulz won for his team, not one for his team.
Ooh, look what we drew.
Julian John's looking to win it for his team.
Dylan Smith found another commit to memory, so we could have the same situation we had just a moment ago with a flashback memory plus a lot of follow-up spells.
We can see Dylan Smith take that and rewind it back to the bottom.
Something, something, make the booty go.
What do the kids say? Slap. Is that what they say? There is the front half of commit. What's this? Well, we're just cycling Canyon Sloughs for fun.
That 7 that Julian drew off the memory must have been really bad.
Yeah. If our play is cycle multiple Canyon Sloughs and play some lands, getting energy from the hub, that means, yeah, his memory stunk. I guess he'll get another shot at it, though. Let's see what's going on here. Scrap Heap Scrounger? Sure, man. It's fine. Little energy there for Jacob Ball and his counter that he won our Atlanta Invitational a couple of years ago. And now we are heading back to Dylan Smith, and we might be seeing both these players shuffle and draw 7 more cards.
Yeah, I think so. With him just having a couple lands in hand, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like he's going to play a land if he draws some sort of spell, whether it's a removal spell or what have you. Oh, he drew another one! Oh, my God. Commit to Memory is so good in this deck.
In spots like this, it certainly is. That's for sure. Might have some interest in committing away the old Scrap Heap Scrounger and then playing Memory. Maybe?
See, I don't even know if this is that good. Like, Julian's 7 was obviously not great. And you're not under a lot of pressure right now. And you drew another commit that you can cast if things could go wrong next turn. You have the Arch of Vraska to draw a card. So, honestly, I think if I'm in his spot, I just say go. I do think I would cast the first commit from hand, though, just because you're gonna lose it anyway, and the 4 mana translates into the Scrap Heap Scrounger just not being on the battlefield anymore. But he looks like he values that 4 extra mana a little more than getting rid of the Scrap Heap Scrounger, and I don't blame him. You know, if he hits like a big worm here, a Sifter Worm, or something to protect him from a follow-up on the next turn from Julian John, whatever the follow-up's going to be, it's got to be better than Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Yeah. For Julian John, for people that are rooting for him, he gets a chance to redeem himself here because, man, that first memory sucked.
Yes, it did.
I'll tell you what, he did basically nothing of consequence with his 7 new cards. He even got to cycle a couple and didn't find anything to do. So he'll get a new chance at life here.
Modern Classic players, welcome to round 5 of 8.
For Dylan Smith, he'll get to have the most fun with the memory first.
If you do not have an opponent, please wait 10 minutes or for them to show up.
He knows that he's got to win both games here.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do it. If he's able to take this game off the back of this draw 7, very likely going to be a draw, or Julian can win Game 3 very fast. Dylan's deck doesn't win very quickly, but I also didn't think that Jim Davis and
Nathan Holiday, I believe.
Yeah, earlier when they played that control mirror, but they proved me wrong. They played 3 games in less than 20 minutes. All right, Hour of Promise, another commit to Memory. Looks like an Hour of Devastation and a Chandra's Defeat, something like that. Yeah, I don't know where Sifter Worm's at.
Hiding.
Maybe he boards them out, but I feel like it's just great in this matchup. We've gone through the entire deck now.
All right, we got 5 mana.
I'm going to scan his deck while he's digging.
I think I saw one at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't Palaka Worm?
Pretty sure. Here's a couple more deserts. Scavenger grounds, and another hostile desert. There's 2 more zombies.
Yeah, just a huge mana advantage. Every time he draws 7, he's drawing mostly spells thanks to just thinning his deck of all these lands. And Julian, since he stumbled early on mana, just doesn't have as much mana to work with even after he gets to untap.
Well, draw a card. Julian hoping for something nice here. Looks like he's maybe talking with the squad here. Well, you see Shulz and Dollaway trying to figure out how their Super Saiyan friend can get the job done.
Legacy Classic competitors, your pairings for round 4 are now online at pairings.starcitygames.com and going up on the pairings boards in pink paper. Once again, Legacy Classic competitors, your pairings for round 4 are available online.
8 cards in hand for Julian after that memory. Trying to figure out what his best line of play is against these 2 zombies and a large stacked hand from Dylan.
Well, he's thinking Glorybringer.
Yes. Very rarely the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, pretty sure there's a Chandra's Defeat on the other side.
Yeah, Chandra's Defeat and a copy of Commit to Memory again. So Glorybringer not looking to be the best right now. There is Chandra's Defeat.
Yeah, and these zombies are really gumming up the ground from Hour of Promise. That Scrap Heap Scrounger is not going to be too big of a deal, even if it's able to come back with that last 2 mana from Julian.
There's the attack for 2. I think you're Dylan Smith. You are pretty incentivized to block here.
Yep.
You don't know if Julian John has burn spells in his deck. You're probably working under the assumption that he does not. You don't oftentimes see Lightning Strike in these decks anymore, and License Disintegration has likely been sideboarded out. And now we go back over to Dylan Smith, who's got a whole swath of lands to untap.
Most of the lands in his deck are on the battlefield. He has another Commit to Memory in hand, so if he's able to fire that off, the 7 cards he draw will likely be non-land. Just a bunch of spells. Hopefully at some point he finds a Sifter Worm, I guess.
Or a way to win.
Yeah. I mean, Sifter Worm's a pretty big guy.
All right, there's a cycle, Shelter Thicket.
It's actually kind of funny. He actually has a large chunk of damage in play right now. He has 2 copies of Hostile Desert, as well as just Hash Up Oasis with a billion deserts.
True. All right, there's Spring to Mine. Time to search for a basic. All right, basic Forest. I think this is the game Dylan mulled to 5, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Forgot about that.
Well, he went turn 3, Spring to Mine, turn 4, Hour of Promise, brick-walled the entire squad.
Yeah, because Julian's start, he missed some land drops and just didn't really do anything all that great.
Yeah.
All right.
Looks like we're going to try to win this game. Love it.
Hostile D.
Bang for 5.
It's winning time.
Yeah, I mean, with looks like an Abrade and a Commit to Memory in hand, you're not afraid of too much from Julian's side. Might as well get some damage in.
A lot of copies of Grow from the Ashes in hand. Doesn't look like they're doing all that much, though.
No, but that's what's going to happen when you cycle a bunch with Commit to Memory. You know, he plays the Grow from the Ashes. Those are effectively, you know, lands, you know, at this point. But they're the only ones that can still be left in his deck because the rest are on the battlefield. Or in exile from the Hostile Desert. Another cycle from Julian John.
Yep, Canyon Slough right to the graveyard. Get in there. Teach him a lesson, Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Now, if Dylan wants to, he can pop this Ibnu Rivulet and then activate Hostile Desert to block. That'll make sure he doesn't take any damage. And even if Julian does have a removal spell for the Hostile Desert, we still have access to a Braid in hand to make sure that nothing bad really happens.
4 cards to get milled there for Dylan Smith, and now he's going to activate Hostile Desert. That's an Abrade.
That's one Abrade.
That's
a second
This
Abrade.
is a hard way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, and Abrade your thing, thanks.
Yeah. Take that, hot shot.
There, carries Ev.
Now, as far ahead as Dylan seems to be this game, he is at 5 life. He is down a game with very little time left on the clock. If he's unable to physically win this game, Julian John and their team will win the match. 1-0-1 for this game, but 2-1 overall in the matches.
That's a very good point. So it is definitely on Dylan Smith to win the game, and maybe we see Julian John pivot to, I don't have to win through conventional means. I don't have to win by dealing those last 5 points of damage. I have to stop you from winning in turns. Now, you know, you see the clock there. We got almost 2 minutes left. And there will be extra turns, of course. But there are times where you have to shift your focus. We'll see if this is one of those times as he draws a card. Because the idea of him dealing 5 points of damage, boy, that seems hard. Here's Doomfall.
Sure does.
There's a Commit to Memory. I'm going to commit Carry Zev.
Yeah, he could choose to commit the Doomfall, but I believe it's hitting his hand, and I think he just has 3 Grow from the Ashes in hand at the moment.
Got one of them.
Yeah. No, that could clear the way for a more important spell here, though, simply because The shields are down.
Hazaret.
Will block probably. I think there's a block.
Good choice, Todd. Good choice.
Draw a card with Arch.
So Hazaret's neat here in this spot because now the commit to memory line is really not good.
It's true. Gets activated 3 times next turn. Hour of Devastation. Nope. That's a blink of an eye. That one's nice. 7, 8, 9, 10.
Wasn't expecting to see that.
We've popped a few Hash Up Oasises with Ibnu Rivulets, and I wish it was the other way around. Like, there's a chance that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We could do 13 this turn if we had more Hash Up Oasises.
Instead, it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put Julian down to 8. Julian's going to untap.
So you have 1 card in hand right now?
Yep.
Goes up to 2.
Remember, blink of an eye in hand here. Going to discard a mountain. Put Dylan down to 3. Boy, Dylan's playing with some fire here. I'll tell you what.
I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of options otherwise. The blink of an eye buys him a turn. It bounces the Hazaret mid-combat. He has to assume that there's no real direct damage spells from Julian that could kill him this turn. But next turn, he is facing lethal to just the Hazaret activations.
There's the blink of an eye. I think if you're Julian, you still got to replay Hazaret here.
Nah, you have to. Hope for the best.
It's even a blocker in this situation.
Maybe it's a Chain Whirler, and he's thinking about playing that to block instead. But Hazaret seems like a better blocker anyway.
Looks like that's going to resolve. Okay. It's turn 1 of extra turns. What's this going to be? We're doing something on the end step here.
I think we're filtering through...
oh, that was a Spring to Mind.
Filtering through the land so we don't take damage to play Spring to Mind.
Okay. And now draw a card with the Arch.
Yes.
All right, turn 1 of extra turns. Dylan Smith trying to get his team to a draw here. Julian John trying to get his team to a win. Dylan will draw.
It looks like Dylan's playing a commander deck.
It really does.
Just the, and come on, where's my Sifter Worm at? I've been waiting 2 rounds in a row.
I'm believing
for that Sifter Worm.
I'm starting to believe that Sifter Worm's not in the deck after sideboard. I thought I saw one when he was shuffling.
There's a Palaka.
There's a Palaka. Could he have? Okay, he does have 3 green.
Does he have 3?
Well, that's a fair question right now. That's a fair question. Beatdowns. Block 1 of them. Go down to 6. Hour of Devastation. That'll kill Hazaret.
Yeah, followed up Blockworm, going to put us at 10. But we still have to do those last 6 points of damage some way.
Blockworm's a good way to do it.
Yep.
This is the kind of deck that wins eventually. There is Blockworm. Julian John wants to read it. Hey,
we got a reader.
We can show it to you. It's a rare in Core Set 2019 instead of an uncommon. Thank goodness.
Yeah, Blockworm was originally from Rise of Eldrazi, I believe. One of the slower, grindier formats. Blockworm was one of the best uncommons you could draft, but a little too stout, I think, for M19 Limited at uncommon, so they decided to bump it up to a rare, which makes it a little harder to find, but still very good nonetheless.
Magma Spray will take care of the Scrounger for good, and Julian is going to untap real slow. Turn 2 of extra turns. Draw a card. Can he stave off elimination?
I mean, at 10 life, I think the odds of him killing Dylan this game have gone to 0.
I agree with you.
So now he's just going to try to find a way to not lose this game, but it's going to be real tough.
The Chain Daddy.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Puts you to 9.
With Hashap Oasis and Hostile Desert on the battlefield and Blockworm having trample, I think the game is over this turn. Don't
be
quote
right.
me on that. I am not. I'm notoriously mediocre at math. It's kind of my thing.
Noted. Noted and noted.
Now there's no cards in hand. We have Hour of Devastation off the top. This should clear pretty easily. Attack for 7. The end. Draw. Book it.
That's right. There is Hour of Devastation to clear out Julian John's blockers. Block Orm much bigger than that. In for 7, and that means that Dylan Smith is going to tie things up for his team. And you know what? A draw is better than a loss. So these two teams of Timothy Shulz, Brandon Dollaway and Julian John, Brandon Smith, Jackson Knott, and Dylan Smith, they will draw.